It is an article you can only find on CBSSports.com. The NBA all-quarter century team has come out, and the man in the middle is the guy everyone's talking about, Nikola Jokic, three-time MVP, named the starting center. Taking a look at the rest of the team, Steph Curry is at point guard, Kobe Bryant at the 2, LeBron James, your starting small forward, and the big fundamental Tim Duncan starting at power forward. But do you agree with this? We also have to talk about the second and third teams. So let's welcome in Avery Johnson, Ashley, Nicole Moss. We're going to be talking about the years from 2000 to 2025. Avery, I'm going to start with you, though. Jokic over Shaq. Do you agree with it?
Well, first of all, Amanda, I'm glad that we didn't have to debate whether Tim Duncan was a center or a power forward, because I've had these conversations with the big fundamental Tim Duncan, who we call touchdown. Even though we're getting ready for football season, he was always about touchdowns for us. But I would prefer Shaq over Jokic. And we can go back and forth. This is no disrespect for Nikola Jokic, but Shaquille O'Neal, in my opinion, is one of the top 2 centers of all time behind Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You know, the championships, and I know we can debate on, well, if we would have added, you know, some of his time spent in the 90s, then that would justify him over Nikola Jokic. But Shaquille O'Neal was the most physical, dominant center that I coached against, played against. I coached against him in 2006. I played against him. We shut down the Fabulous Forum in 1999 when he was playing with a young Kobe Bryant. But the physicality, this guy was so physically imposing. It's nothing against Nikola Jokic, but I personally would have Shaquille O'Neal on the first team.
Yeah, it's interesting when you do these, right? Because you're essentially comparing a guy who's still playing to a guy whose career is over. So we don't know what Nikola Jokic's career is going to look like when he reaches the end of his basketball career, right? So we're comparing 10 seasons to 19 seasons. We're comparing 4 championships to 1 championship. And it's really a ... for Nikola Jokic, because we don't know what it will look like when it's all said and done. With that said, I agree with Coach. I mean, Shaquille O'Neal, when you talk about all NBA first team, all NBA teams, all defensive teams, when you talk about being the scoring leader, when you talk about rookie of the year, all those accolades go to Shaquille O'Neal over Nikola Jokic. Even points per game right now at this stage in their career, Shaq is leading in that. The only stat per game that right now Nikola Jokic is leading above Shaquille O'Neal is assists per game. And again, we're talking about someone who's played 9 more seasons than Nikola Jokic currently has. So it's an unfair comparison, but you can only compare the numbers that you have in front of you, and because of that, I think that you have to give the edge to Shaq. Now, I do think that people are sometimes prisoners of the moment, and when you talk about the offensive part of the game, we all know Nikola Jokic is drastically better than Shaquille O'Neal, right? He's better from the 3, the things that he's able to do with the basketball from the mid-range, just all over the court. For someone of his size and his lack of athleticism, if you will, is absolutely mind-blowing. So I can see why someone or people would give him the edge in this scenario. But if we're going over your entire career, I still think that for me, it's Shaquille O'Neal.
And for people wondering, the article is listed under Sam Quinn as the author, but it was actually a lot of our writers who voted on this. So it was multiple people coming up with this. Let's talk about Steph Curry, who made the first team there, but not just within the last 25 years. Ashley, do you think he is the best point guard of all time?
This is such a hard question for me to answer, Amanda, because when you talk about the point guard position, for me, I think Chris Paul represents the perfect embodiment, the all-over completion of the point guard position. I mean, it is the reason why he is called the point guard, right? But when you talk about the overall better player, I think that edge is given to Steph Curry. We know he's the better shooter. We know what he's able to do on the court. We know what it's like to try to keep up with him in a game. We have seen it. We have seen the trajectory of his career, and the fact that he's still able to do what he does with this basketball in his hand in some of the craziest scenarios is just absolutely mind-blowing. So for me, this is a little bit harder, but if I'm going to go just strictly about the point guard position, and I'm not talking about the overall better player who I think without a shadow of a doubt, I don't know how anybody could argue this, it's obviously Steph Curry. I mean, look at all of these accolades. If we're just talking position based, I would still take Chris Paul over Steph Curry, just strictly talking about the point guard position.
Yeah, Steph Curry. Steph Curry, without a doubt. You know, four-time NBA champion. And whether you want to say he's a lead guard or a traditional point guard, it doesn't matter. He's a point guard, all right, in a different way than Chris Paul is a point guard. Now, when you start going back, 30, 40 years, obviously it's Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson is the best point guard ever that graced the face of this earth, okay? But when you go back and look at the last 20, 25 years, Steph Curry, he reinvented the game, especially with his shooting ability. It was not just the passing. What Chris Paul did for passing, Steph Curry did it for shooting, passing, winning, that backcourt tandem with he and Klay Thompson. Chris Paul had a couple of shots at an NBA title, came up short with Houston and obviously with the Phoenix Suns in the NBA Finals. But Steph Curry cast that ticket. Now, yes, he played with the Draymond Greens and the Kevin Durant's of the world. But when you look at the point guard position, Steph Curry has just been sensational, flawless in a lot of ways, and four-time NBA champion.
All right, I will say that Chris Paul was named to the second team, so maybe it's somewhat of a consolation prize.
It's very difficult.
Yeah, it's very hard. Let's stay with the second team here because this is where we find Giannis. Dirk named to the third team. KG left off the list. Avery, do you agree with that ordering?
I'm struggling with that because you know what? Did Ashley and I have a vote?
I
don't get a vote.
I don't believe so. I can find names.
I didn't get a poll.
We can name names, though. We can find the names and name them.
Come on. And this was no disrespect. Giannis is a sensational player. I mean, he's been great for basketball. But when you talk about Dirk Nowitzki and Kevin Garnett, come on. What are we talking about here? But I agree with Ashley. Shorter body of work for Giannis. Dirk, 21 years in the league, went to the finals twice, league MVP, was a part of a 66-win team. Dirk was incredible. Now, they'll say Giannis on both ends of the floor, but what Dirk was the quintessential stretch four that then reinvented his game, which was painful to include a post-up game when yours truly was his coach. So I'm really struggling with this one. Different era of basketball. Obviously, Dirk played when it's a little bit more holding and grabbing. Same with KG. But no disrespect to Giannis, but Dirk and/or KG needs to be on the second team.
Yeah, I'm struggling with it more in the comparison of Giannis and KG than I am with Giannis and Dirk. I'm a huge Dirk fan, but I could make the argument for Giannis over Dirk when you look at their overall body of work and when you look at what Giannis has already accomplished in comparison to what Dirk accomplished his entire career, right? All NBA teams, it's Giannis's 9 to Dirk's 12. Giannis is still playing. All defensive first team 4 times in a row. All defensive team 5 times. When you talk about season MVP 2 times, finals MVP 1 time, the list goes on and things that Giannis has already accomplished in comparison to Dirk, and he's still playing. But for me, the argument gets sticky when you talk about Giannis and KG. Those careers are a lot more aligned. So if anybody was going to be essentially bounced from the list in favor of Giannis, I'm actually surprised it wasn't Dirk and KG's not on this list, because it is not a far drop off, in my opinion, to what Giannis has accomplished so far, again, still continuing his trajectory, and what KG accomplished in his career. If Giannis's career ended today, him and KG are not that far off in terms of where they are in greatest of all time, accomplishments, things like that. So this comparison, I feel like, is a little bit more surprising to me than I would say Giannis and Dirk.
This is why we have the comment section, because you know people are going to be arguing about all of this.
At least they're not coming for me, Amanda.
There you go. Ashley, Avery, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon. Ashley Nicole Moss, the host of Triple Threat. Maybe she's going to be talking about this. By the way, you can find that entire article. Go to the comment section on CBSSports.com.